Well, it was another awesome trading week this past week. Here's a couple trades that we took from the daily market breakdown videos. Let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. All right, starting the forecast off with the US dollar index. And a reminder, there is no COT report this week. It is delayed due to the American Thanksgiving. But looking at the weekly chart here of the DXY, we can see there's really not much to go off of here on the weekly chart. We're kind of just like we're still essentially just hovering between, supply and demand. In my opinion, we are closer to demand than supply. So with that being said, I think we are most likely headed down to at least 101. And my long-term target here on the DXY, at least as the weekly chart says, is actually 298. Around 98, I think, is where we will most likely be going, and I think we will probably see some sort of push up. So this is what I do think is going to take place here on the dollar. Now, obviously, I could be completely wrong. I definitely wouldn't just short the dollar just based on this and then buy down here based on that. We have to obviously see evidence of these situations taking place. And so far on the daily chart, we have just seen the continuation move to the downside. We have very, very strong momentum here on the daily chart. We don't quite have a daily uptrend. We haven't had a trend on the daily chart in so long. I don't really call this a trend. I more call that momentum, and I call this momentum as well. For a downtrend, you need to see a significant push up and then a significant push down to break the low, creating that downtrend. That's what I would call a downtrend. This is not what we have here on the daily chart. But at the end of the day, the momentum is certainly down, so we have to definitely go with that. And on the 4-hour chart, we have a very clean looking daily 4-hour downtrend. So with that being said, I still think we should be looking for shorts in the dollar. I've been saying that since last week. I'm still saying it this week. I still think looking for shorts on the dollar is going to be okay. And if you look at the 1-hour chart, we actually did have a breakout of this 1-hour downward trend line. We created this 1-hour demand. I actually pointed out to the Dime members that we could see a reaction off of this demand, but eventually we might be pushing back down lower. And we actually got, exactly how I chalked it up, where I said we would see the reaction, potentially that push back down, and we got exactly just that. So what we are looking for now is the removal of this low. But what I think we could see take place first is a pushback up to like the 103.58 area on the 1-hour supply and then push down. So if we do push back up to this 1-hour supply, I think we could get that reaction off of that supply zone just like that, like you see here on the DXY. So I'm still bearish overall on the dollar, which means dollar shorts on all the pairs in my opinion. But like I said, we could see a couple days of dollar strength until we push back up to that 1-hour supply, where then we could get a reaction off of it here on the DXY. All right, on to the EURUSD. We're going to start with the daily chart here. I did think we could pull back down to daily demand at 1.07 to kind of refuel for longs to get that bigger push up. Now, in my opinion, with the strength here, I don't think we're going to pull back down to there. Yes, it is. It's very possible we do pull back down long term in the future, but for now, I don't see a whole lot of evidence of price slowing down. If you look at a 4-hour chart here of the euro, we have this 4-hour demand zone right here, and we respected this 4-hour demand, and we are currently pushing up. Now, the best thing we could see from here is the break of that high, which would then create a different trend line here, which would indicate an even stronger move, in the euro. So as long as this 4-hour trend is holding on the euro US dollar, I still think we need to look for longs. Now, I would be careful at this high here, so you probably want to trade pullbacks to, day trading time frame demands. Remember, guys, if we have a 4-hour uptrend, that means we could be looking for longs on day trading time frames. So unfortunately, the trade has already taken place from down here. So now that we push up, we really just want to be trading pullbacks to 5-minute, 1-minute, or even 15-minute demand zones to the long side. Now, if you look on the 1-hour chart, we are struggling to break through this 1-hour supply at 1.09. Now, this is not a supply zone that I would say could hold price all the way back down to there. Obviously, that's possible. Anything is possible. But to me, this supply zone is not significant enough to have that push down. Why I think we will struggle to get past through it, we already have, is because not only did this supply remove the upward trend line, but it also removed this demand below. So this was actually a very, very strong supply zone just in it by itself. But the higher time frames analysis is showing that this zone should actually break. So I am expecting this zone to break. Will it push down here then break first? I don't know. It's difficult to tell. But as far as the 1 hour chart goes, To continue to look for longs, we want to see that removed and that high. That'd be great. And then any pullback to a 1 hour demand zone would be our potential trade setup here on the euro on the 1 hour chart. And look, if you were bearish, that's fine. I get that. And a lot of people in here, they don't like when I say, oh, you could potentially be looking for shorts and longs. They don't like that. They want me to tell them exactly what we should be doing. But that's not what we do here at FX Telepath. But what I would say is, if you are bearish the euro, this would be your time to look for shorts, and it would have to be on day trading timeframes. So you could be on a 5-minute chart right now looking for supply zone shorts, or whoever you like to trade, looking for shorts as long as this 1 hour supply is holding. But remember what I said. That is really the only option that I would take for shorts on day trading timeframes only, and it is low odds based on higher time frame analysis. So just because I'm saying we could look for shorts here on day trading timeframes doesn't mean I would. If I had to put my money on the line, it would actually be to the long side. And why? Why would it be to the long side? Well, we have very strong daily momentum, and we have a beautiful 4-hour uptrend. That is why I would stick to the long side. But it doesn't mean we can't get those counter trend trades. And that's why I always like to point out the counter trend setup as well, and exactly what I'd be doing. So if you want to trade counter trend here on the 1 hour chart in the euro, that's okay. We need to wait for confirmation on day trading timeframes though. All right, we are on to the forecast for gold. So remember, we are kind of at the high here on the weekly chart. Not a lot has changed on gold the past couple weeks. I mean, we are kind of just floating around the high here. We did pull back and react off this daily demand. I pointed this one out a couple forecasts ago, so you can go back and check that one out. That's the beauty of having the weekly Forex forecast. You guys can go back and check out my analysis. So nice reaction off of that zone. We are at the high. The next thing we are simply looking for would be the removal of this high. So if we go ahead and draw our line across like that, we are essentially just waiting for that to be removed. And then once that gets removed, that would be a very bullish sign, because then we would actually have an upward trend line here on the daily chart. I'm not going to draw this trend line yet until we can actually remove this high, because that's just how I draw my trend lines. So until it gets removed, we don't have a daily uptrend now, and that's why we are waiting for pullbacks to demand instead of just chasing price. So in the daily market breakdown video, I pointed out this beautiful H1 setup right here, and look at that trade. Pretty much no drawdown at all on this setup, and that was from the daily market breakdown video. And if you guys want access to these daily market breakdowns, like in the title, every single day, as well as much more video lessons, Sunday live stream Zoom sessions where we discuss strategy and questions and much more, check it out. We're actually running that Black Friday sale still, where you can get 15% off lifetime access memberships and 50% off of monthly memberships. You just need to sign up on WAP. Links are in the description down below. Use code Black Friday for the monthly subscription, and use code Black Friday Lifetime for the lifetime subscription. So right now is the best time to get involved in the membership if you want it. Remember, you get access to my daily chart analysis, my daily market breakdown videos where we caught this trade right there, and much more, like Sunday live stream sessions, video lessons, all that stuff. So check it out. Links are in the description down below. Do not hesitate on this Black Friday sale. Comes once a year. So that is the membership. Anyways, on to gold now. Got that trade down here. So the trade has already worked up. We had another setup down here. We couldn't quite get filled there. Obviously, price didn't push down even close. So now we essentially still just want to wait for the pullback down to like the 1978 area, something like that. Or what I think is more likely going to happen, since the trend is so strong, is we are just going to continue to push up, break that high, and then at that point, any 1 hour demand that is responsible for removing this supply and that high, we could be looking for longs at, just like we did down here on that trade I pointed out for the diamond members as well. So as far as gold goes, I am very bullish on gold, just waiting patiently to essentially just prove that we are going to break that high. And it'd be a great sign, because then we'd have a 4-hour uptrend, daily uptrend, and at that point we could say, hey, I think gold is most likely going to all-time highs. I do think we're going to break anyways, right? But how I like to personally trade is to just wait for that proof. And that proof, like I said, would be removing the high at about 2008, whatever the price of that is. Just waiting for that to be removed would be the ultimate sign to continue to look for longs on gold. Unless, we start to get a pullback down to the 1970, 78 area, then we can look for longs as well here on gold. All right, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. We will start with the daily chart here. This one might look confusing because we are sitting essentially directly in the middle of supply and demand. So when this case comes up, this comes up a lot, where on one time frame, in this instance it is the daily chart, like I said, we're sitting in the middle. So what do we do here? And it can be confusing, but all I see, in my opinion, is a daily demand zone that became in control. And if we go down to the lower time frames on the 1 hour chart, we simply broke this downward trend line right here, created demand. We couldn't quite hit the demand, but we still rallied up. Now I am long the USDN right now with my stops at break even, and I simply took a trade at the break of this trend line. Now on the USDN, we haven't broke this high here on the 1 hour chart. Now my stops at break even, so I'm completely fine with it, but what I'm hoping is we break up above here. Obviously, I'm long, but it goes more than just the fact that I'm long. Because if we break that high, then at that point, we'll create a 1 hour uptrend, and that'd be a very, very positive sign. So what this was an aggressive entry coming off of the daily demand down below on the USDN. And with the trends being so strong, I wanted to continue to look for longs. And this was simply just a confirmation trade breaking out of this downward trend line. So now I could, price could push down back down to this demand at 148.3, and we could look for longs down there as well. That is certainly an option that we stop out everyone here and then push out. I am bearish the US dollar, in my opinion, but the USDN has been so strong. So even on the 4 hour chart at 148.4, we have 4 hour demand down here as well. So we could actually push down to this demand and then rally up. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we can just rally back up to like the 150 area to this 4 hour supply first, instead of pushing back down here, because then that's some drawdown I want to sit through, and I just don't want to do that. But for now, the trends are so strong. We have that daily demand in control. I honestly think we will just continue to push up to at least 150. And then when we hit this daily supply, at that point, I think looking for shorts could be okay. It's still counter trend, but I don't really want to just be shorting in the middle here. I would rather short at the higher time frame supply zones, which is a little bit above at 150.53. So essentially this trade down here, it is just a with the trend trade. And I think still looking for longs to 150.53 is going to be good. So take the 4 hour zone I showed you and the 1 hour zone and wait for pullbacks down to those zones to continue to look for longs. And then, like I said, for shorts, we want to at least wait for that daily supply to be hit, guys. That's going to be our safest bet, our safest place to wait for that supply to be hit. And at that point, we can start to go down to lower time frames and look for confirmation trades to the short side on those lower time frames. But for now, with the trend being up, the demand in control, we certainly want to, favor longs to at least 150.5 here on the USDJPY. All right, on to the GBPUSD. We are into daily supply at 1.25. The problem with this daily supply is it's not that significant. Okay, it is a good supply zone as in it removed tested demand, a push down. We clearly have seen some sort of reaction off of it, but in my opinion, this supply doesn't hold a lot of weight. It's kind of just in the middle of nowhere. It's not really at, a higher time frame supply zone. So I really don't think it's going to hold. So what would I be doing here on, the pound? Well, right away I'm seeing a beautiful 4 hour uptrend. So what does that mean? It means we could be looking for longs on day trading timeframes, which again is a 5-minute, 15-minute chart, or even a 1-minute time frame as well. So as long as this trend is holding on the 4 hour chart, day trading longs are definitely okay. And what I like about this as well is the 1 hour trend is holding. So if you want to get in more detail, as long as this 1 hour trend is holding, we could still look for longs. Now it is possible we kind of retrace closer to the trend line and continue to rally up. But what we are looking for and monitoring is that this upward trend line is holding. And as long as it's holding, we can continue to look for longs. As far as fresh 4 hour, 1 hour zones go, I'm really not seeing anything to point out for you guys. But like I said, I'll keep it very, very clear. With the 4 hour, 1 hour uptrend, that indicates to me that we could be trading with that trend like on 5-minute or 15-minute time frames to the upside. So not much to report here on the pound. Like I said, I would ignore that daily supply. It is not that significant. Where we are headed to, I really don't know. It is very, very confusing right now. As far as like the weekly chart goes, it's not as confusing when we go over to the 4 hour and the 1 hour chart. In my opinion, those time frames are screaming, we got to get in long. So as long as those time frames are trending, it's longs all the way here on the GBPUSD. Alrighty, on to the USDCAD. This daily supply held beautifully at 1.38. I pointed out this supply zone a few forecasts ago, a couple weeks ago, in the weekly Forex Forecast. Beautiful reaction off that daily supply. But the overall uptrend is still holding. But we are contacting this upward trend line. So this is currently a test. If you want to short, I get it. We could be shorting down to 1.35 on the daily chart, down to that daily demand. I think that that is okay. And why I agree with shorts here is because we have that 4-hour downtrend now. And until we broke that low here, we did not have the 4-hour downtrend. So now that we have the 4-hour downtrend, I think looking for shorts is going to be completely fine. So if you're on day trading timeframes, if you're a day trader, 5-minute, 15-minute, 1-minute shorts, I think are going to be great here. As far as pullbacks to higher time frame zones, I mean, on the 4-hour chart, if we get this really big pullback up to here, at this point, I don't know if that zone's going to hold at 1.38. But if we do push up to that 4-hour supply, we could look for shorts, maybe a quick short. I don't know if we're going to get this huge move off of this. And in the meantime, you might be seeing some bullish move here on the USDCAD. And I mean, we have some sort of demand and control. We've seen a reaction off this demand from before. I don't know if anybody remembers catching this trade from a few forecasts ago, but this demand is still holding here on the 4-hour chart. So we still could, get that move. But what I think this move will be is actually just the counter trend move like this was and the overall trend. So don't get caught up by some bullish pressure. I still think we will potentially be going down here on the USDCAD. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing any super high quality zones that I can point out to you guys. That's just a reality of it is. That's just a reality of trading, guys. I already pointed out the beautiful daily supply back there. So as far as the USDCAD goes, 4-hour, 1-hour downtrend is day trading shorts 100%. On to the forecast for the AUDUSD US dollar. So looking at the daily chart, it's very clear we have some very nice daily momentum to the upside. And I don't really want to just be hopping on short trying to trade against that daily momentum. So I personally think looking for longs is going to be your best decision here on the AUDUSD. Now what I like about this daily chart is we have this daily supply that is located at 0.666. And it's not that this supply is that great and that I'm looking to short at this supply. Rather, I like that this supply is here because it gives us an indication of the profit margin left to where we could be looking for longs to, and then we can start to take profits at. So I still think there's a lot of juice left in this momentum up, and it's very clear, at least on the 1-hour time frame and the 4-hour time frame, longs have been absolutely great. The problem with it, though, is that I'm really not seeing any good 4-hour zones or 1-hour zones. So what I'd be looking for here on the Aussie, we have this 4-hour supply here. Once we remove that supply, any 4-hour demand will be a perfect potential setup for longs. So either wait for that pullback. If we do pull back all the way down to 0.638, which I don't know if we are, it's kind of unlikely at this point. I mean, we definitely could. Anything can happen. I think this is a good area to look for longs at as well. So either we want to wait for this situation, which could take a while, or we wait for the new high, we wait for the supply to be broken and create a new demand where we can look for longs as well, just like we would down here. So that pretty much wraps up the Aussie analysis here. I mean, really nothing else. It's been very, very clear. A lot of the times trading, it's not super clear, but a lot of these pairs, guys, 4-hour, 1-hour uptrends or downtrends, so we simply just need to trade with them. 1-hour uptrend, too. It's longs all the way here, especially on those day trading timeframes. I'm not going to sit here and be all, confusing with you guys and say, oh, if this happens, then we can look for shorts all the way down to here, and then, we can look for longs down there. It's really not that hard. When we have a 4-hour, 1-hour uptrend, it means we could be looking for longs, and we have very clear profit margin to at least, like I said, 0.666. So it's very clear, in my opinion, here on the Oz. Alrighty, on to the USDCHF. This one is actually a little bit different, where we are actually sitting inside of some sort of weekly demand. Now, the overall momentum is down. I don't know if this is going to hold on this weekly chart. It is extremely difficult to tell. I really don't love this demand. I don't like how, price kind of just stuttered before and then eventually shot up. And it was barely a great move anyways. So will this demand hold? I don't know. I think we could see a small move off of it, maybe to like 0.895 or something like that. But remember, it is in control, and we have to take that with consideration. And it even is a daily demand in control here as well, but it's not really looking that great for it either. So yes, it is possible we rally up to maybe supply at 0.90 and then get a rally to the downside. How we will be able to predict what is going to be taking place is going to be at least on this 1-hour chart. So as long as this 1-hour momentum is holding, we're going to push down, obviously. Now, if we start to push up and start to test this trend line, and let's say we break out of it, leaving us with a 1-hour demand, you could catch this essentially counter trend trade like that here on the USD Swiss. But with the trends being to the downside on the 1-hour chart and even on the 4-hour chart, I still think we need to look for shorts. The problem is price is very, very overextended. We are, quote unquote, I'm doing hand brackets right now with my fingers. We are, quote unquote, due for that pullback to the upside. Will we get it? I don't know. It's difficult to tell. But, just based on this, we have been pretty overextended. So, I wouldn't call you crazy for saying we could, pull back maybe halfway up and then rally back down. It'll be difficult to tell. I'm not going to sit here and say it's really easy to trade. But at the end of the day, 4-hour, 1-hour downtrends again, and even a daily downtrend here. So in my opinion, since this weekly demand, so if we had a daily downtrend, 4-hour downtrend, a 1-hour downtrend, and a super high quality weekly demand zone and control, I would say we probably don't want to be looking for shorts. But since this weekly demand is not the best, I don't want to ignore it. I can't physically ignore it, right? But it just means that, if we're going to trade in short, maybe risk a little bit less with the weekly demand and control. But look, with the downtrends in the daily, 4-hour, and the 1-hour chart, in my opinion, you'd be making a mistake if you were looking for longs, unless you got some sort of significant confirmation, or if you had the idea that I want to get in long up to daily supply because I think that daily supply will react off of it. Something like that would be fine as well. But as far as the USD Swiss goes, as long as we have the 4-hour, 1-hour downtrends, it's shorts for sure. But just remember, be careful of that weekly and that daily demand. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil. We are essentially ping-ponging between daily supply and daily demand right now. Where are we going? I don't know. The only thing I really have to go off of is this overall daily downward trend. And so that makes me think we are going to be going down. But the dilemma I am having is the fact that we are sitting inside of this weekly buying area. And clearly there is buying here. We've seen some sort of moves off of it. Now, we could see a move back up to 87.25. I don't know. It is very, very difficult to tell right now. On the 4-hour chart, we actually had this beautiful 4-hour demand zone down here. I pointed this one out to the members as well. And we have got a move off of it. Not the move we were expecting, right? Obviously, if you take a trade here, you don't want this to be the only juice it has. We want this thing to, really go to the upside. So now that we're pulling back, we actually have this little 15-minute demand zone here. We could see a move off that zone. I don't know. It's a little bit tricky right now. But we are pulling back. It'll be definitely interesting to see what takes place. On the 1-hour chart, this really shows what's going on. We had demand down here and supply simply just respecting these zones perfectly right now. So, like I said, for longs, I'm really not seeing much. The best thing for longs would be to see some strength, removing this supply, and if we have a 1-hour demand here, that would be a beautiful potential setup. Why? Because not only was this supply, it was proven supply. 1, twice, 2 times reacted off of it. So if we push up, break that supply, leaving us with demand, that would be our potential trade setup right there. Remember, I will have these zones for the members on my daily chart analysis. And if you are bearish on oil, the only way I would even short, well, we already got potential setup up here, but that trade has already taken place. So at this point, as price is sitting right here, what would I do for shorts? Well, I don't disagree with shorts for sure. I get it. But if we do break this demand here, pushing down, it would actually not only break the demand, but it would break this low, creating a 1-hour downtrend, which would be a great sign. And then if we do push down, any 1-hour supply right here would be a potential short trade. You could look for day trading shorts in there, whatever you want to do, but that's what I'd be doing here on the 1-hour chart. And why that? Well, because this was demand and it was tested. So just like this, it has been proven demand. So if this demand gets removed, that'll be significant. And like I said, if we have a supply zone, that would be our short trade. But for now, I really don't think looking for shorts is going to be great because the trade has already taken place. So for now, we either need to wait for a break of the 1-hour supply or a break of the 1-hour demand to tell us, where price is going as far as crude oil goes. If you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.